All right, today's topic is simplifying radical expressions. Now, if you have not watched my video, radical expressions, you need to watch that first before watching this one here, because what we're going to do here builds on to that video there. So if you've not watched radical expressions, go back, watch that video first, then go ahead and come back and watch this one here, okay? So I'm going to assume that you know basics of radical expressions and simplifying them. And here we're going to take it one step further, okay? So let's say we have this, where we have two radicals being multiplied to each other, okay? Let's do the square root of 2 times the square root of 12, okay? So when we did this, what we can do is that when you multiply numbers together that both have the radicals, the roots or whatever, the square roots, you can go ahead and multiply the numbers together and keep the square root. So for example, 2 times 12 gets us 24, okay? I don't need that. And then we keep the square root like that. So square root of 24, okay? Now I can go ahead and break it down, branch it off, right? Two numbers that multiply 24, that one of them is the square root. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead, I know I have 4, the square root of 4, and the square root of 6. Square root of 4 will give me 2. My square root of 6 comes down as such. 2 square root 6, okay? So really, you know, once you get to this part, we know what we're doing, okay? This is all you have to do for the first part, multiply them together to get to this part, and then you can go ahead and go down from there. Conversely, what you can also do, I'll leave this up here, what you can also do is break down your 12, okay? And we could do this, square root of 12 times the square root of, square root of 2 times the square root of 12. We can break this down first, okay, before doing this, we can break it down first to give me the square root of 4 and the square root of 3 over two numbers that multiply to 12, right? Square root of 4 equals 2, square root of 3, and now we have this. If I bring down my square root of 2, right, here, now I can multiply what's in the radicals here, my 2 and 3. Well, my 2 here is on the outside, so that's going to stay on the outside, and then I can multiply 2 and 3 on the inside to give me 6, okay? So the same thing, however you feel comfortable doing it, okay? My advice is if your number, when you multiply numbers, it gives you a pretty easy to work with number, right? You can go ahead and do it this way. If it gives you like a large number here, and you have to, I would break it down first and then multiply everything together, okay? That's what we're doing here, okay? All right, let's do the square root of 8 times the square root of 5, okay? So once again, we can multiply numbers together, 8 times 5, to give us 40, okay? And then break this down. So two numbers multiply to 40. You can square root one of them. I'm going to pick 4 and 10, okay? Square root of 4 I know is 2. My square root of 10 comes down as such, okay? I would not break these down first because is this going to confuse you? So I would just do it this way, multiply two numbers to get that right there, and go from there. That's my final answer. Now, what if we're dividing and we have fractions? Okay. So what we have, the square root of 24 divided by or over the square root of 3, okay? So here, in this case, what I can do is, if I have two numbers that both have a square root, top and bottom of it, I can go ahead and combine those like this. 24 over 3, and the whole thing under a square root, okay? When I do that, I look in the middle here. Now, 24 over 3, remember, yes, it's a fraction, but it's also a division problem, right? So if I do 24 divided by 3, right, that's going to give me 8. But the square root is still there, right? So I did 24 divided by 3. That gives me 8. My square root stays the same. And then I can break this down, right, into 4, the square root of 4 times the square root of 2. And then that gives me 2 square root of 2, okay? So if you can combine them together like that, go ahead and combine them together, then divide them. If you can divide those numbers together, and then go from there to break it down here, okay? Now look, we did the square root of 20 over the square root of 5, okay? Now, same thing here. I'm going to take this, I'm going to combine them under one giant square root symbol, okay? Then I'm going to go ahead and divide, because I can do 20 divided by 5. I can do that, and that's going to give me 4. Now this one's simple. The square root of 4, we all know that. It's 2. Okay? So that's a simple one right there, okay? Now, what if it doesn't work out evenly where you can't divide it? Well, let's try that. Let's do 28 over 9, all under a square root, okay? So if I look in the middle here, underneath my radical here, I cannot do 28 divided by 9. That doesn't work. It gives me a decimal. I don't want that, okay? So what I'm going to do this time, I'm actually going to break it up. I'm going to do the opposite of what I did earlier. I'm going to break it up into the square root of 29 over the square root of 9. Sorry, this fly is killing me all day today. All right. Now, I can't do square root of 28, but my bottom one, square root of 9, I can do that, right? I know what the square root of 9 is. The square root of 9 is 3, okay? So now, there's no more radical, right? It's just 3, okay? Now, my top, I can write that for now, okay? But now I have to break down the top part, okay? My square root of 28. So, if I can, I'm just going to bring this down here to show you the work, okay? So square root of 28, that breaks down. I'm going to pick 4 times 7, right? And then I can square root my 4 to get 2, bring down my square root of 7. All right, so now I'm going to take this and put it back up here. 2 square root of 7 all over 3. And that's my final answer, okay? So, like I said, if you have not watched my previous video of just ratifying expressions, go back and watch that so you can kind of understand this a little better. But that's kind of what we're working with here.